Welcome to South Florida Saltwater Fishing. I'm Heath and it's Tips and Tricks Thursday. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to splice together 2 pieces of monofilament line. Before we get into this episode though, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. So, I just want to talk about the theory behind what we're about ready to do. Sometimes you'll be out fishing, if you got your line way far out, whether you're drifting, you're on the reef, you're trolling or anything, hit a fish, it peels off a bunch of line, and for some odd reason, somewhere along the line, you get a break off. And all of a sudden, you're left with half a spool, quarter of a spool, maybe even 3/4 of a spool of your line left, and it's just not enough to continue fishing. You do not have to empty out the rest of your spool and throw all that good line out. I'm going to show you how to splice together another line that'll reel straight through your guide and it'll wrap on your spinner or your conventional reel so that you can continue fishing and basically refill up your spool without ditching a bunch of perfectly good line. Alright, let's do this. Okay, so basically let's pretend this is your main line here and it's broke off. Now all of a sudden you don't want to ditch the rest of your line, so what you can do is you can refill by adding on another line. What we're going to do is, it's called a blood knot. I'm going to show you how to tie a blood knot, which is essentially splicing 2 lines together. Now what we are not going to do is we are not going to make a loop in one line and make another loop with another line. We're not going to tie them together like that because this is very abrasive, and should you get a fish and you pulls out your line again, this can snap and then all of a sudden you lose all of your line. I'm going to show you how to thread these 2 lines together. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want a long tag end on both pieces, at least a foot if not more, 16-18 inches. So we're going to take one of the 2 lines, we're going to take our other line and we're going to cross it over and we're going to make 7 wraps around it. So I'm going to take this line, this is my tag end, this would be my main line to my reel. I'm going to wrap it around 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now you're going to want to hold that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take what's left of the tag end and we're going to, where your other line, where this other line splits, we're going to take that new tag and we're going to put it right between it. So we have something that looks like this. Okay, now we're going to take this line which connects way over here to your line going to your reel. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to run it around this line, which is our new line. We're going to run it around 7 times, 7 wraps. Now pay attention to this loop right here because that's where this is coming through, and you're going to need to send this new tag line back through it. So 7 wraps again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now, again, now we've got this loop right here that was left right here. You're going to take the tag end and you're going to stick it back through that loop, but you want to see which way this tag is coming through and you want to go the opposite way. So this tag here is coming up. So we're going to want to take this tag and stick it through that loop going down. All right. So now essentially you have something that looks like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling it tight on one side. You have something that looks like this, almost like a figure 8. We've got several wraps on one side and the other, and we've got our 2 tag ends. So it will look like that. It's all wrapped around here, and you've got a loop here, and then again it's all wrapped here, and you've got a loop here. I can let it go and it's not going to do nothing. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to pull on both ends. You'll want to keep your tag ends out of the way so that they don't get wrapped up in each other. You want to pull on your tag ends and just keep pulling it tight until they thread together. All right. And then you can pull it tight. So that's a blood knot. That's how you thread 2 knots together. Essentially, my line that's coming from this way is threaded up the line this way, and this line is threaded down that way. If you can see it. Now, you also, oh, we were getting a phone call, but we had to ignore it. Sorry about that, the technical difficulties. Apologize. Okay, so, and then what you can see is you've got one tag end coming out this way, and the other tag end coming out that way. It's a 90-degree knot. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to take it. You can trim these tags up real close, because should they need to go through the eyes of it, they're going to go back through the eyes of your rod, and you'll need to be able to pull it up smoothly. So there you go. You can pull on that as tight as you want. You're good to go. That's a blood knot. And that's how you splice 2 lines together, and you can continue fishing. All right, so that is how you splice 2 lines together using a blood knot. It's not too tricky. It's almost like tying 2 clinch knots down on each other, and you thread the lines together. It's a super strong knot that's not coming loose. Now, it's used for different applications. You can use it for a deep splice, which is what I would recommend it for if you ever lose a bunch of line. That way you don't ditch your inner spool of line, you save some. You can also use it to tie a leader on to your main line of your reel. You can use it for drifting, bottom fishing, trolling. It's super strong. I would actually go with this before I go with a bimini twist or possibly an FG knot. This knot, this particular knot, you can tie 2 different pound tests of mono together. You can go from 10 to 20, you can go from 20 to 40. You can also go from mono to braid with this knot, which is why I said I actually prefer this particular knot and this application over the FG knot. I'm not one to knock the FG knot. It is a super strong knot, and it's pretty much the go-to thing nowadays, and I will get to doing a tutorial on that, but for now, this is my go-to one when it comes to splicing. It ain't coming apart. All right, folks, that about wraps it up for this episode. We hope to see you next Tuesday for our Sunday showdown that we're gonna have. Who knows what we're doing? I believe I'm going vertical jigging if the weather permits us. All right, everybody, until then, South Florida saltwater fishing. I'm Heath. We're out.